Welcome to New Ways to Seek God, Benedictine Cohousing Companions at the Monastery of St. Gertrude, Cottonwood, Idaho. As we get started, I'll try to briefly describe what this new adventure, the Benedictine Cohousing Companions, is. It will be a group of single women who will be living at the monastery here in Cottonwood, Idaho, for the purpose of creating a new kind of Benedictine community. These women can be from any Christian denomination, Catholic, Protestant, but they will be committed to learning to live the spirituality and the way of the rule of St. Benedict. We're calling this new community the Benedictine Cohousing Companions, BCC for short. The BCC members will live in the monastery with the sisters. We are currently renovating the residential part of the monastery so that the Benedict cohousing women will be on one floor with their own rooms with private bathrooms. All the BCC members will eat, pray, and participate in common life with the sisters. BCC women will make an indefinite commitment to this way of life, but of course can always leave if they feel it's not a good fit. We're asking for a monthly financial contribution of $1,000 that would include room, board, and all utilities. And the key idea that I'll keep stressing is that this is a commitment to creating a new kind of community. This isn't simply a unique housing option or a way to enter into Catholic retirement living. And so, if you are listening to this presentation today, there's probably something that you find interesting, intriguing about this idea of co-housing. As you discern whether or not this will be an option for you, it will be critical to spend some time exploring your motivation. Why are you interested in co-housing? As you explore, I think perhaps there are a couple of key questions behind this idea of Benedictine cohousing and whether it would be a fit for you. The first is, what does your heart long for? In other words, do you feel a sense of wanting to live life on a deeper level, with more meaning, a deeper purpose? And perhaps the second question comes from a quote by the late poet Mary Oliver. Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? For many of us, this longing, this questioning of what's next as we plan what to do with our one wild and precious life is focused on God and faith. Some of these questions may begin when it feels like the life we've been leading isn't enough, that our faith needs to be more than something we do on Sunday or simply a set of beliefs. For many of us, there is a yearning for God, for a life in which our faith can be central rather than peripheral. But in the midst of the chaos of ordinary life, of multiple demands, a culture that doesn't understand a call like this, it's hard to live on a deeper level. For centuries, women and men in the Christian monastic tradition have sought ways to lead lives centered on God through community, structure, and simplicity. The way of St. Benedict, which people have followed for over 1,500 years, is an example of a simple, structured way of life that allows people the freedom to live a life focused on God. Now, traditionally, people who wanted to live a Benedictine monastic life of community, prayer, simplicity, service, had to be Catholic and take vows to become a monk or a sister. There hasn't been a clear alternative for people who want to live Benedictine life in community without being Catholic or becoming a monk or a nun. But what we're doing with the Benedictine Cohousing Companions is creating a way to live Benedictine community for women of all Christian backgrounds, This will be a new way to live Benedictine monastic life. It's meant for women who feel a strong call from God to live this way of life. It won't be easy. It isn't relaxed retirement living. It is a calling for pioneers to do some really hard work to create a new way of life within an ancient tradition. It is an opportunity to live a life focused on God in community according to the tradition of Benedict. Let's discuss some of the vision for the Benedictine Cohousing Companions. We see a small community, not more than 7 or 8, of single women who live at the monastery with the sisters and participate in the monastic common life, prayer, meals, and shared life. Co-housing members will not make a life commitment. They can leave at any time. They're financially independent. They own their own property, choose their own work opportunities. The 5th floor that's currently being renovated will have a kitchenette, laundry facilities, and each resident will have a set of 2 small rooms and a private bathroom. There will also be a common room down the hall for the BCC residents, and this will be for meetings, gatherings, that sort of thing, and will be exclusively for the co-housing women. So what would this new Benedictine way of life look like on a daily basis? We see our BCC members integrated into the life of the Monastery of St. Gertrude. We live together, pray together 3 times a day. We share meals, work, and common life. And together we seek God, and we see our common life as a way of supporting one another as we grow in faith, entering more deeply into relationship with God and with each other. The co-housing companions will not be required to do any particular kind of work at the monastery. The BCC companions can do whatever kind of work they feel called to do, whether it's employment in the local area, volunteer work, remote work, or using their gifts to help with jobs or tasks at the monastery. Our work and ministry flows from that commitment to prayer, community, and service. Monastic life is not exciting. It is daily life lived in a community of people who are seeking God together. It's a call to seek God in and through the ordinariness of life together. Monastic life is deeply meaningful, life-giving. It integrates faith into every aspect of life. So it is probably helpful to know a little bit about life in Cottonwood and at the monastery. At least when there isn't a worldwide pandemic going on, there's always a lot happening at St. Gertrude's. Right now, we have 30 sisters, all but 5 of whom live at the monastery. We have a very busy retreat center, the Spirit Center. We operate a museum and a book and gift store. We have a bed and breakfast on the ground floor of our guest house. We have an active volunteer program, as well as a program for artists and residents who come and stay for a month to do art. We have about 90 oblates who are both local and living throughout the Northwest. We have a regular program of concerts, art shows, and annual Raspberry Festival. Again, in a normal year, there's a lot going on, and we expect that this will soon be the case again. At this point, I want to try and address some issues that seem to come up when I talk to people about co-housing. There are concerns that people have that are rather fuzzy, but basically involve the future of the sisters and the Monastery of St. Gertrude in general. These questions usually involve whether there will be new vocations, sisters, whether the monastery will survive, given what's happening with religious life in the Catholic Church today. What I say is that Benedictines have been around for 1,500 years, and the reason they've lasted is that we constantly adapt and change. Benedict's monastery didn't look anything like ours. Our monastery doesn't look anything like it did 50 years ago. And 50 years ago, it didn't look anything like it did when we were founded in 1882, and so forth and so on. So I think that our heritage of adaptation and change means that we keep adapting our Benedictine monastic way of life, and the Benedictine Cohousing Companions is the latest adaptation and will be the future. Rather than trying to keep doing things that worked in the past but no longer seem to be working, we're focusing on new ways to live this profound way of life. We see the BCC as the exciting future of Benedictine life. So another very important thing to know is that the Benedictine Cohousing Companions will go through a process of being formed in Benedictine life. This will take the form of ongoing classes and mentoring as they learn what this ancient way of life means. Members will also focus on building their own community, learning how to live with one another as they share similar goals and values. The key is that being a member of the cohousing community means a commitment to ongoing formation, to continually grow and change as you live the Benedictine way. It's a commitment to a way of life that is about transformation. Hopefully, if you have a sense of the idea and vision of the Benedictine Cohousing Companions, we can go a little deeper into the nitty-gritty of how this will work. There are some practical details that will be important. We've already mentioned several of them, but you will need to know that women have to be able to live independently. If someone gets to a point where they need assisted living or nursing home care, they will have to make other arrangements. We can't accommodate pets or emotional support animals. Sorry. Cottonwood is a beautiful rural area. It's peaceful, wonderful, but it's not near any urban amenities, so residents would have to be prepared for that. Becoming part of the BCC will involve an extensive discernment and screening process. This program won't necessarily be a fit for everyone. You may decide that it isn't what you're looking for, and you have to be prepared that we may decide this isn't a good mutual fit. And becoming part of this won't be a quick process. It's critical to take plenty of time for discernment. One of these days, when we're all vaccinated and the renovation is complete, we'll start to have people to come to the monastery for a visit, maybe this summer or certainly in the fall. So, speaking of things not being a quick process, the BCC is still in the planning stages. We are gathering women who are interested in exploring this project, while we also have a steering committee that is figuring out details of how this will work. Right now, we already have several women who are interested and have been meeting regularly over Zoom. We anticipate welcoming the first members sometime after the fall of 2021, at the point when it looks like we have enough women ready to come. Women will have needed to come visited at least a couple of times and gone through a pretty lengthy process before we could say yes to somebody joining us. So I want to let you know some of the next steps if you continue to be intrigued. The first, most crucial part is to take this to prayer. If you have a sense of calling or even just curiosity, keep praying about it, keep listening, keep exploring, keep discerning. And the other absolutely critical piece is to be very honest with yourself about whether this would be a good fit. Be honest about your motivation. Why are you interested? Creating a new community like this will be hard work. Are you prepared for that? Benedictine life is a commitment to a way of life that involves transformation. It isn't easy. Is that what you're looking for? And also, spend some time with St. Gertrude's website. We have a great website, and it will give you a sense of who we are and what it might be like to live here. This is a work in progress, but together we'll create the next steps. So please feel free to contact me with questions or concerns. My email is there on the screen. So thank you for your attention and interest, and thank you for keeping us in prayer.